and say sorry. And wherever I go in this country, and I travel,
Lee Anderson.
it is indeed a pleasure to serve once again under your chairship. When we make mistakes, we should hold our hands up and say sorry. And wherever I go in this country, and I travel a lot around this country every week, I get people saying to me that they're sorry. Sorry for voting Labour for the last general election, and they will never vote Labour again. They wish they could turn the clock back and vote for a different party, normally Reform UK. And sometimes I get some people saying, you know, the odd lunatic might say they're going to vote for the Green Party. I get that. They're usually recaptured very quickly. But there is a glimmer of hope, Sir Edward, at the next general election, because this lot over here, they'll all be looking for jobs. But of course, most of them, looking at them, are unemployable now. Absolutely unemployable, unless they fancy a job as a bailiff. Because let's face it, all they've done over the last few years, 18 months, is gone into people's houses and take stuff off them, usually money from people's pockets. Absolutely disgraceful. They can shake their heads and grin if they want. They will not be forgiven, mark my words. Just imagine their next job interview, and they're down at the job centre in a couple of years' time. And the interviewer, the advisor, says, what have you been doing for the past couple of years? Well, I can sum up their achievements already. For the past few years, they worked for an awful dictator. And under his leadership, we have illegal migration totally out of control. Our streets are filling up with criminals. And if you live in Birmingham, it's filling up with rubbish as well. We've got rats the size of small dogs roaming around Birmingham, feasting on tons of rubbish. This government, Sir Edward, have stolen money off the workers by not increasing the income tax threshold, something they promised they would do. And they've given this money to the shirkers. And by the shirkers, I mean these are able-bodied people. They're bone idle, basically. They not go to work. They refuse to go to work. In fact, they stay at home all day and sponge off the state. And they're shaking their heads. In fact, the only work some of these shirkers do is probably go out once every 5 years and deliver leaflets for this lot. It's great work if you can get it. Our farmers have been attacked. Our pensioners have been robbed. And we've been locking people up for social media posts. And let's not forget puberty blockers. These are medical trials on children. And everyone over there who supports this should hang their heads in shame. But worst of all, as a result of this government, we have got radical Islamists, former Labour voters and some politicians waiting in the wings, ready to stand for Parliament at the next election in once safe Labour seats. And most of you in this room are going to go. You'll be on the dole.
This wasn't just another noisy clash in the House of Commons. It felt like a warning shot fired straight at the political establishment. When an MP stands up in Parliament and openly predicts that current ministers will soon be on the dole, that's not routine theatre. That's a sign of a system under pressure. And this week, that pressure was on full display when Reform UK MP Lee Anderson delivered one of the most combative speeches we've seen in months. Anderson accused the Labour government of failing on illegal migration, squeezing working people through frozen tax thresholds, neglecting farmers and pensioners, and mishandling deeply sensitive cultural issues. He painted a picture of a country losing control, rising crime, stretched services, public frustration boiling over. But what really stood out wasn't just the accusations, it was the reaction. Labour MPs were seen laughing, shaking their heads, appearing dismissive. In today's political climate, that visual matters. Because for voters already sceptical of Westminster, it reinforces a damaging perception that politicians don't take public anger seriously. This moment is bigger than a single fiery speech. It taps into something more dangerous for the major parties: buyer's remorse. Anderson claimed he regularly meets former Labour voters who regret their decision and are now looking elsewhere, particularly to Reform UK. Whether that shift is massive or marginal, the psychology matters. Politics isn't just numbers, it's momentum. And when trust weakens after years of Brexit divisions, lockdown controversies, rising living costs, and leadership instability, voters become open to alternatives. Reform UK's strategy is clear. position themselves as the unapologetic outsider willing to say what others won't, use sharp language to dominate headlines and energize disillusioned voters. Frame Labour and the Conservatives as two sides of the same detached elite. It's disruptive politics by design. Labour, meanwhile, appears to be betting on discipline and composure, avoiding direct confrontation to deny reform oxygen. But there's risk in that approach. What feels like restraint inside Westminster can look like indifference outside it. For ordinary British citizens, this isn't about Commons drama. It's about wages that don't stretch far enough, concerns over border control, questions about fairness in taxation, and whether leaders admit mistakes when they make them. When economic strain mixes with cultural anxiety, politics stops being technical and becomes emotional. And emotional politics can shift elections quickly. Mainstream media largely treated the exchange as another row in a long list of parliamentary spats. But online, the clips spread fast. Supporters praise the bluntness. Critics condemn the tone. Either way, it travelled. And in modern politics, attention is currency. The bigger question now is what happens next. If reform's message continues resonating, Labour will have to decide whether to confront it directly or stay focused on its own agenda. Either path carries risk. Because when public anger starts echoing beyond fringe spaces and into mainstream constituencies, it stops being noise. It becomes a force. And dismissing that force has cost political parties dearly before.